"What are you doing here?" The question had been asked decades ago to his father by a couple who looked at him like a lamb wandering into a slaughterhouse. Back in the 80s, they had viewed this country as a jagged, dangerous place, entirely unsuitable for a young person trying to find their footing. They had warned him about the overt threats, the wrong neighborhood, the dark alleyway, the kind of trouble you could see coming. Years later, sitting in the driver's seat of his idling car, Leo stared at the sterile glow of a gig app that had just penalized his rating for taking a 10-minute break. Through the static of his radio, a syndicated talk show host was loudly questioning the work ethic of immigrants, spinning a web of outrage that hung thick in the afternoon air. As his phone buzzed, demanding he accept another low-paying delivery to keep his metrics afloat, Leo realized the couple had fundamentally misunderstood the landscape. The real danger didn't wait in the alleys, it sent push notifications. He swiped accept and put the car in drive. 10 minutes later, the chime of a bakery door was immediately swallowed by the hiss of an espresso machine and the drone of a wall-mounted TV. Leo stood near the pickup counter, his thumb hovering over his phone screen. Behind the counter, the bakery was a blur of motion. Yasmin, the manager, was seamlessly ringing up a customer for 2 chocolate croissants while calling over her shoulder to her uncle in rapid, melodic Arabic to bring up another tray of pistachio baklava. 40 years ago, a family like Yasmin's might have been an anomaly in this zip code. Today, they were the neighborhood's favorite anchor. "Order for Leo?" Yasmin asked, handing a heavy, stapled paper bag across the counter with a tired but warm smile. "Thanks," Leo muttered, grabbing the bag. His app buzzed instantly. "Customer is expecting you in 12 minutes. Above them, the ambient noise of the cafe shifted. The local sports channel on the corner TV had cut to the news. The volume was low, but the words cut through the chatter with practiced sharpness. "It's a question of values," the man on the screen was saying, his face flushed with manufactured outrage. "We have a generation that simply doesn't want to work. They want handouts. And meanwhile, we're opening our doors to people who drain our resources." An older man waiting in line for his coffee scoffed loudly at the TV. He crossed his arms and threw a hard, lingering look toward Yasmin, and then toward Leo in his delivery jacket. It was a look that didn't need words. Lazy, undeserving. Outsider. When the man stepped up to the register, he didn't hand Yasmin his cash. He placed the bills deliberately on the counter, keeping a physical distance. Yasmin didn't frown. Instead, her smile grew brighter, almost rigidly polite, a practiced armor against the hostility radiating from him. She was working twice as hard, just to diffuse a threat that only existed in his head. Watching her, Leo felt his phone buzz again. Another meager payout waiting in the queue. He was exhausted, but the weight of the man's glare and the voice on the screen pressed down on him. If he stopped now, he was exactly what they said he was. He pushed out the glass door and stepped into the blinding sun, the false narrative driving him back to work. The GPS led him away from the neon hum of Yasmin's street and up into the hills, where the city noise gave way to the quiet, manicured curves of a gated community. The air up here even felt different, cooler, filtered, untouched by the exhaust of the valley below. Leo pulled up to a house that looked more like a modern art museum than a home, sharp angles of glass and steel glowing faintly in the dusk. He grabbed the heavy bakery bag and walked up the long, perfectly swept driveway. There was no one around, no neighbors on porches, no kids on bikes, just the silent, unblinking eyes of security cameras tracking his approach. The instructions on the app were explicit: leave at door, do not ring bell. He set the bag down on the pristine welcome mat. He took a step back, held up his phone, and snapped a photo of the delivery. The flash briefly illuminated his tired reflection in the dark glass of the front door. On the other side of that glass, someone had paid a premium in service fees so they wouldn't have to look at him. As he walked back to his car, a profound isolation settled over him. The couple from the 80s had worried about him getting into a fight about him being seen by the wrong people. They hadn't realized that the ultimate modern survival tactic wasn't fighting, it was becoming a ghost. He was just an invisible cog, delivering comfort to people who watched him on their doorbell cameras. Perhaps while the television in their living room played the exact same pundits telling them why he was a threat. He swiped the app to complete the order, and the algorithm immediately sent him back down the hill. Hours later, he finally unlocked his door and sat down, the sudden quiet of his apartment ringing in his ears. He tossed his keys on the counter next to his phone, its screen still glowing with the unrelenting sterile light of the delivery app, already calculating his projected earnings for tomorrow's shift. Outside his window, the faint blue flicker of a neighbor's television cast shadows against his wall. Another pundit, another loud, muted debate. He caught his own exhausted reflection in the dark glass of the window. He thought of the couple from the 1980s, their faces etched with genuine worry. "What are you doing here?" they had asked, terrified of a violent, unpredictable city. They couldn't have guessed that the real danger wouldn't be in the alleys at all. The modern threats were structural, invisible, the algorithmic hustle that left nowhere to hide, and the false stories people decided to believe about him before he even walked into a room. He rubbed his eyes, feeling the deep systemic exhaustion settling into his bones. As the screen on his phone finally dimmed to black, he let the silence stretch across the apartment, leaving the thought hanging in the dark. Were they wrong back then, or just 40 years too early?